Katz. My first hat, Director of Operations at GCS Mental Health here in Ada. We offer outpatient counseling services to everyone that's seek it. I just found out about this whole entire thing about 2 hours ago, so I'm not as prepared as I'd like to be. The second hat I do also wear is, I'm also an NRA instructor. I'm also a valid license to carry over. Two things that a bunch of people have mentioned. A lot of talk about gun laws. Well, I just want to put some things into perspective. My statement is more of a statement and a comment rather than a question, so I'll brief. There were two gun laws that people are talking about. They're talking about assault weapons. They're also talking about school, firearms in schools, and there's a law. United had an assault weapons gun, and I just want a lot of people to know that. Criminals don't follow laws. It's a repetitive statement that people in my position often make. But there's another law, that's the Gun-Free School Zone Act, which has been in law for years, and this doesn't help people. So we have to think of a more proactive way how to stop these incidents, because you got to understand, regardless, they're not going to follow these laws. And there has been a lot of talk about guns and questions about gun shops and the zoning. Is that really the right path to go right now? Because the same day in China, there was a stabbing of multiple students. Was that a firearm? No. I see it every day at work. Like I said, I'm the Director of Operations at a mental health outpatient clinic. I see the problems of this community every single day at work. There's a lot of different people here today, but my job is literally involved going to work every single day and try to fix those
Good
problems.
evening. The library will be closing promptly in 15 minutes at 9 p.m. If you have any material to check out, please come to the circulation desk at this time.
The access is to mental health, and I'm sure Dr. Gordon will agree. It's very difficult. The wait lists around here, there needs to be, maybe you should focus instead of firearms, a lot of talk about mental health. Well, let's focus on the mental health portion. That seems to be a large concern. Just today, I had to refer someone elsewhere because they were moving in. A lot of places have extremely long wait lists. We're actually a relatively new facility, and I'm sure you've heard of us, but the reason we're here is because of an 8-month study that I did 2 years ago as Director of Marketing for the company of where should we put our new clinic. And I called all around the state, different outpatient clinics, and I came to Native Framingham area, which had a 6-month wait list, which I think is completely unacceptable for psychiatric services, especially for children. Just today, we had a client that was discharged from our facility, and we had to send them somewhere else. And Dr. Gordon, you were with that, I think I understand. They couldn't even tell me when a child would be able to be placed with a psychiatrist. And I mean, that's to no fault of his own or any agency. As I can tell you right now, it's extremely difficult to get these services, not because of it's just simply not available. There's not many people here that the profession itself is difficult to access services. Also, wanting to get into the insurance companies not giving authorizations for this treatment. So there's a lot of things that we need to look at here. But one thing I do want to mention is I don't understand the logic between locking someone in a room unarmed. Another thing that was mentioned was having them evacuate. Now you have to think of the logic of having unarmed students, unarmed teachers, leaving a school without any method of protecting themselves. That's something that needs to be thought of, and I'm sure it will be. However, I think there needs to be a much more active approach. As someone mentioned earlier, shooting off the lock. If that was an option, if that was something that was possible and they decided to do that, that's a very real situation where you understand that there's a bunch of defenseless people. Now, instead of advocating and spending time, resources, and money to looking into which gun laws are going to help, go back to my original statement where we did mention that those laws were not followed, the Gun-Free School Zones Act. Go back to a law where, back to assault weapons ban. They're not going to follow those laws. So instead of, my opinion, instead of having all these time and resources to laws, let's find a more proactive approach to help make sure that this doesn't happen without making laws that restrict the law-abiding citizens like myself, and I'm sure everyone in this room, instead of trying to make these laws that are going to affect people that aren't going to follow them. So I think it might be wise to consider more proactive methods of protecting the children, that's what this meeting is all about, instead of making laws that may be ineffective. Thank you.
Possible change that came to my mind. We have laws that when we have plumbing done in a house, gas being worked on in a house, that we have to get a permit. And they come back and they have the right to come into your house and that they have the right to check that. Can we not do that with guns? Can we not have some kind of law that says you have to store your gun in certain ways, and that the police department or those people that are overseas in your town can go into your house because you've taken up that permit and see how you're storing your weapons?